Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well and you can hear me. And thanks for joining today's webinar. My name is Gareth Luff from the Mortgage Experts, and today I'm just going to share my screen. Share. Today we're going to talk about how to generate a consistent flow of mortgage leads. I think this is something that for most mortgage brokers, sometimes people struggle with. It's probably the most concerning thing for people when they're looking at starting their own business or becoming a self-employed mortgage broker. So hopefully today's session, which will last no more than 30 minutes, we're going to talk about what the best strategies are to get a consistent flow of mortgage leads week in, week out. So on to the first slide. So the question to ask yourself is, do you really need to rely on somebody else for your mortgage leads? I think traditionally as mortgage brokers, we tend to rely upon introducers, so maybe estate agencies or maybe even buying leads in order to attract new clients into our businesses. But whilst that can be very profitable for a lot of advisors, for some advisors, it doesn't quite work all of the time. So to give an example, with estate agency businesses, they can be fantastic lead sources, but when they tend to go quiet, the lead sources that you get from the estate agent might go quiet as well. You might see your lead numbers drop if the estate agency goes quiet. You might also see that when they get really, really busy, your leads could also drop as well because they're so focused on tying up the deals or whatever it might be. So estate agencies, whilst they can be profitable, they take a lot of work, a lot of time. Often they're required to be sat in their estate agency office as well for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, which is not what everybody wants to do. Other options, some brokers also look at buying leads in, but again, there's also a problem with buying leads because sometimes they can really lack the quality that you might need for your business. You might find that they're expensive as well. So buying leads can be very expensive. And you never really know how many other brokers are trying to attack the same lead sources as you as well. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of buying leads as a business and as a mortgage broker because I think that sometimes it's just not going to give you the outcome that you need from a quality point of view, but also from a cost point of view as well. So today, what we're going to talk about, we're going to change that. We're going to talk about strategies for organic lead generation. So getting leads to come to you as opposed to having to go out there and pay for them. We'll talk through the differences between paid advertisements and referral marketing as well. And we'll talk about strategies for using social media effectively. And hopefully by the end of this meeting, I've given you some ideas that you can go out there and trial and perfect and sort of find your own way of working, but also to really give you the benefit of having leads come to you in your business. So a little bit of my background, first of all. This is the awkward bit. This is where I have to talk about myself for 30 seconds, so forgive me. But I've been in financial services since I was 18, which is coming up for 20 years now, qualifying a mortgage broker just 2-3 weeks after my birthday. Worked within a family business until 2016 when we sold that business, and then took over a company called the Mortgage Experts. We've grown that now to a team of over 40 fantastic advisors. But it's not just mortgages. We've built businesses across wealth management, commercial finance, insurance, software. We've got a team of over 70, probably near 80 people now that we work with, 80 professional people with a 7-figure turnover. But my biggest passion is helping finance professionals launch and scale businesses, helping them to grow and achieve what they want to achieve. And what today's about really is just sort of sharing best practice, what I've learned, what's worked for the brokers that we've worked with. We built a Facebook group during COVID with over 130,000 people in that, which is it's a fantastic sort of resource for advisors, but it's also great for consumers who can come and ask questions and get the help and support that they need. So that's my background. I love the industry. I think it's a fantastic industry to be in. And I think there's so much opportunity for now as brokers, particularly now that in this day and age, I think 90% of mortgages this year will be done by a mortgage broker. So it's a really, really exciting time to be a broker. It's just now about how to go out there and position your business. So on to the next slide. So first of all, organic lead generation. Probably my key takeaway tip from this is that you've got to become a key person of influence. The successful entrepreneur, Daniel Priestley, who's been on the Diary of a CEO, I think he's been on twice, talks about becoming a key person of influence within the mortgage broking space. So first question, if you can put it in the chat, feel free to pop it into the chat. But what these 3 people here, can anybody have a guess? Put your answers in the chat. But who are these 3 familiar, famous faces? I'll give you a couple of seconds just to put some answers in there. Brilliant. So we've got a few coming through. So first face, number one is Cristiano Ronaldo. So the famous footballer Cristiano Ronaldo. Second, this was a bit tricky for me when I first saw this. This was Stephen Bartlett, so I mentioned him already. And the third is Greta Thunberg, for anybody that didn't get Greta Thunberg. Now, the reason that I've chosen these three people, we've chosen these three people, is because these are three famous people whose brand is themselves, the person. So take Cristiano Ronaldo as an example. And I'm not a huge football fan, but he's even got his own brand, the CR7 brand. Interesting fact about that. Cristiano Ronaldo has 652 million Instagram followers. So 652 million people are following one footballer. To put that into context, the whole of the Premier League, all 20 clubs in the Premier League, have a combined total of 278 million followers. So one individual has got 2.5 times the following of the biggest football competition, the Premier League, in the whole world. So it really shows you the power of having that personal brand. A little question to ask yourselves as well. A few people on the call I may have spoken to in the past, and they'll have heard me say this before, so forgive me for repeating myself, but Google is the biggest brand, one of the biggest brands in the world, isn't it? So Google owns, it owns being a search engine. That's what it is. It's a search engine, but it owns the search engine space, particularly in the Western world. But we don't say, what time is that restaurant open till? I'll search engine it. We just say, I'll Google it. So it owns what it is. But have a think for yourself. What do you think the color, the second G in the word Google, the logo Google, what color do you think that is? Could be green, could be red, could be blue, could be yellow. The answer is, from memory, I think it is blue. The two G's are blue. So even one of the biggest brands in the world, it's very hard for us to recognize. The human brain, it doesn't recognize the logo. What we do recognize is human faces. So if I said to you, what does the celebrity chef Jamie Oliver look like? You'd be able to picture him almost straight away in your head. He's got the floppy hair. He's got a really cool kitchen. Great food. But you can picture him straight away. And that's because the human brain is trained to recognize faces of people. So when we talk with our brokers, when we work with our team, we want to promote them, the individual, as a broker. And it's very similar. There's a lot of science behind this, but there's probably people that are far, far cleverer than I am that can explain this better to you. But it's the same sort of principle that when you go to a stag do or a hen do for the first time and you have that awkward moment at the airport where you're shaking hands with somebody that you've never met before, but then fast forward sort of 6-7 hours later on, probably a few beers or a few gin and tonics later, you're best friends with this person. It's because they recognize you. They can see you're not a threat. They recognize your face. It's that 7-11-4 principle, which Daniel Priestley talks about quite a lot. So it's really important that when we're talking about things and talking about building consistency of leads, it's you, the individual, the person. It's Gareth Love. It's whatever you know, John Smith, Jane Smith. It's the person that people want to interact and work with. So it's really important to build your personal brand around you, the individual. So on to slide 5. Organic lead generation. So SEO and local visibility. So first things first, it's really important to have a Google My Business page. A Google Business Profile is the key to increasing visibility in your local area. It's an absolute certainty that your customers, before transacting with you, even if they've been referred to you or introduced to you, the first thing they're going to do is Google you. They're going to Google Gareth Love, mortgage broker. And they want to learn as much about you as they can do before they have that initial meeting with you. So it's really important. A Google page is an absolute must. The second thing is if you've not got a Google business profile, then you're not going to be discovered, and it's going to take that authority away. It's going to take that sort of how people can authenticate that you are an expert in your field. It's going to take that away, which means you're fighting a losing battle from day one. The more visibility you've got, the more clicks and inquiries you're going to get. So if you're prominent across all different platforms, from LinkedIn to Facebook, all the meta pages, and Google, that sort of thing, the more visibility you have, the more clicks and inquiries that you're going to receive. So it's really important that if you've not got a profile now, you've not got a Facebook business profile, you've not got an Instagram business profile, a LinkedIn business profile, this is the stuff that you need to be sorting as a matter of principle, because these are where people are going to find you. Verified reviews, professional photos, and up-to-date business details make the Google business profile look trustworthy and legitimate. Now, that sounds very basic, but you'd be surprised the amount of people that are using a photo that doesn't represent them. I'm sat here today in my t-shirt because it's very, very warm in the office today, but my business profile, my persona is not about me wearing a shirt and tie. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what I'm about. So it's important, if you were to search my name and you put Gareth Love Mortgages, you'll learn a lot about me, but it's a true representation of who I am, and people can get to know me very, very quickly. The next thing as well is creating valuable website content for local searches. So if you're regularly posting updates, blog pages, videos, you're responding to the reviews that you get on your business profile, and you're adding in entertaining and informative content, then that will improve your ranking, your searchability on Google as well. And that means, going back to that first bit, more visibility means more clicks, which in turn means more interactions. Community engagement then. So on this is where we're going to talk about now a couple of key ways that you can start interacting and generating inquiries very early on. So partnering with local businesses. As I said before, there's nothing wrong with partnering with local businesses, estate agencies, those sort of places, but it's not the only strategy that you should be focusing on, because it means that your leads you're relying upon somebody else to generate that lead for you. So I'm not saying at all don't partner with estate agencies, accountants, local solicitors, or property sources, or whatever that might be, but that's got to be one part of the strategy. It's got to be one sort of silo of it, and there are other parts of it too. So there's a lot of content you can use, things like ChatGPT, to assist with how to approach estate agents. After this webinar, we will be sending out to everybody a marketing guide, so an agenda for what to be posting and what to be saying. There's a little free helpful tool. Networking events in your local area are really, really strong. They're really great starting points for getting to know people. So there's lots of, BNI is one example, but there's loads of other, some paid for, some free networking events, which is a great way to interact with other small business owners in your local area and get yourself to be known in your area for what you do. There are local Facebook groups. So if you created that Facebook business page, and you've got your Gareth Love Mortgage Advisor Facebook page, and you're regularly putting helpful and useful content on there that people can consume and learn from, then using local Facebook groups like community pages is going to be a really useful way and a really helpful way of people engaging with your content as well. So by all means, join local Facebook groups. It can be really, really beneficial. You'll find that a lot, now that the self-employed estate agency model is becoming more prominent as well, a lot of the self-employed estate agents are doing this, and that might be a great way to start partnering with some of those people as well. You can partner with local cafes, gyms. You can get, often these places have areas that you can advertise your services, and they support local businesses, so don't be afraid to do that. And much like we're doing here, host a webinar or a local workshop. So we call them, in our business, we call them mortgage surgeries. You could host a mortgage surgery in a local cafe or a gym or a library or any sort of area that's a sort of covered space where you can have a little bit of privacy with customers. You can advertise through the community Facebook groups and the spotted pages, as they're sometimes called, to advertise a free mortgage first-time buyer or remortgage afternoon or morning, whatever that might be, and for very little or even no cost. You can run a mortgage surgery, advertise locally, and get people to come to you, and you could be the expert in your area. You maybe could invite down the local estate agent as well. If you're thinking about partnering with a local estate agency, you could invite one of them down to sort of do a little small talk about the housing market in the area, and that's a great way of building engagement with people as well. One of the things I want to do now is to introduce one of our experts. You might well be in the webinar today, but there's a guy that I've worked with now for 4 years. His name's Sean Coleman. And Sean's a fantastic guy, but he's only been a mortgage broker for 4 years. And he had an idea that he ran with just after the COVID, after we came out of the back end of the COVID lockdowns, which has served Sean really, really well. So to give you a bit of background on Sean, his background was in car finance, car sales for most of his working life. And he got to a point after 20, 25 years in that, I'm giving away Sean's age, that he just wasn't enjoying it anymore. It just wasn't what he wanted to do anymore. He wanted more freedom, he wanted more time, and he wanted to work for himself. So we partnered with Sean to work with him, and his idea, which he's run with now, was employee financial well-being, and that was by offering employers. He started with local employers, which is a great way to do it. So there'll be, in most people's areas, there'll be a local employer that sort of somebody knows somebody that works there. And what he does is he offers a fee-free proposition to any employees of that business. So he'll approach the business, he'll offer his services, and the business gets to offer that service to their employees free of charge. We don't make any pay away to the business, but also the client doesn't pay us for the advice that we give. So actually, in terms of a business as a mortgage broker, you know better or worse off than charging a fee and paying an introducer fee out of this hand. But Sean has done this really, really well, to the point now that he's secured some massive, massive contracts with people like Asda, KFC, Evans Howshaw, Stratstone Group, some really, really big customers. And he's driven his business on the back of employee well-being. So that's just one example of how you can create a lead source at very small cost. It's not cost Sean thousands of pounds to do this. He was just very diligent. He did his research. He found the local company directors of the companies that he worked for, typically companies between 100 and 250 people, because they're quite easy to get to somebody at the top of the company to offer this service. But if you think a room of 200 people, there's probably, let's say, 100 homeowners in that. And out of the 100 homeowners, there's probably 4, 5, 6 of them looking at moving next year. But there's probably 20, 30, 40, 50 of those people that are looking to remortgage in that year. So there's a huge opportunity there, and it's a great service. Now, Sean, I'm sure he won't mind me sharing, he's written over £80,000 worth of business this year alone as his business, and that's averaging sort of nearly £21,000 a month. And what drives that is the engagement that he has with his employees that he works with. So it's a fantastic way of working with the community to build your business. By all means, at the end of this webinar, I'll put my contact details. And if anybody wants to reach out to talk about that, I'm happy to share some more ideas as well. So next screen, paid ads versus referral marketing, because both can work well. So let's look at paid ads first and foremost. Paid ads are on Facebook, Instagram, Google, and LinkedIn. They're the sort of channels that you can advertise and advertise for a cost. When and why should you use paid ads? They're fantastic if you want to increase your brand awareness and get yourself out there quickly. It's a great way of doing it. There's an algorithm that, if we fully understood the algorithm of all these massive companies, obviously we wouldn't be sat here on Tuesday evenings. But if you want to increase your brand awareness very quickly and generate leads quickly, paid ads is a very good way of doing it. And the idea is behind that is that you use some sort of lead hook. So it could be a mortgage guide or a remortgage guide or an adverse credit guide or something like that you can advertise, that people can click into in exchange and download that guide in exchange for their contact details. You can then speak to those people to offer a further sort of a consultation or whatever it might be, and start to create a client base of people that way. You need to make sure that you've got a defined audience. You want to dominate that local search. So again, this is about branding yourself as the individual. You want to make sure that you can dominate that local search. If people are looking for mortgage broker in Leicestershire, which is where I live, you've got to make sure that you're at the top of that list there. It's very important to target the right audience. So you've got to identify your clients' age range, the demographic, where they're looking, the geographical location, their personal interest. There's a lot of niching down that you need to do here. This is where you could be really specialist. So I know there's a few people in the mortgage space that target self-employed clients, because that is a bit of a niche, but there could be contractors. It could be a multitude of different things that you could niche down to. The best way to do that is to build a customer persona. So if you think about customers that you've worked with in the past, that you've enjoyed working with, that have wanted to work with you and have engaged with you, and they've been the dream client, they've maybe come to you with a problem and you've been able to solve it for them, and you've got referrals from them, that customer persona, who is that person? Where do they live? What age range are they in? What's their sort of demographic of earnings? You can really target the sort of people using paid ads. You can target the people that you want to be seeing your adverts. If you're too vague and you have a too broad of an audience, thinking you can have this big catch-all net, then all that's going to happen is you're going to burn through your money very, very quickly. The quality of lead isn't going to be very good, and you're going to waste your money, basically, for want of a better word. You also want to avoid having a weak landing page and failing to track and forgetting to retarget those clients. So it's unusual for somebody to see something, reach it, download it, and then do a mortgage with you, sign up for a mortgage straight away. That happens. Of course, it does happen. But what you've got to make sure you've got a very strong nurture process in place, so you can retarget those people, you can collect that data, keep that data, and then nurture those clients to a time that they're ready to start transacting with you. So it's probably a fair assumption to say, I was thinking about moving house this summer. and I work in the industry, and I started looking at what the mortgages were likely to be 6, 7 months ago before I've even put my house on the market. I'm now starting to think about what's the cost going to be, what are the payments going to be, what does that look like, what does the monthly outgoings look like for that property, way before I've seen the house that I want to buy. I then know I'm starting to prepare myself probably 6, 7, 8 months in advance. So just because you put an advert out there today and somebody clicks on it, it doesn't mean that they're going to start transacting with you tomorrow. It might be in June, July, August, September, October. It may even be next year. So it's really important to have a way that you can track and nurture those customers. Speed is of the essence as well. So if you're gonna go down the paid ads route, it's vital that you're in a position, or you have, if it's not you, it's somebody, that once you get somebody that clicks and downloads, that you contact that person and offer them that free mortgage appointment or the discovery call or whatever you might call it, but offer it in a very, very timely manner. If you're getting somebody that downloads it and you're going to ring them next week when you come back off holiday, or next week when you've got through your month end and you've got all your mortgages written up, the problem is that lead's going to go cold. So you need to act really, really quickly with the paid for ads. So on to referral marketing. What does that mean? So referral marketing for me, this is where you've got people that are referring you as the mortgage broker. They're referring friends, family, connections, acquaintances to you and your business. And the best way I can describe this, referral marketing is so, so powerful. For me, it's that when you get that text message saying, "Hi, my name's John. You spoke to my friend Steve. He's recommended, he told me you did his mortgage. My mortgage is due for renewal." That's the time that you start to see the cartoon. Is it the old Disney cartoon where the eyes roll and you can see pound signs? But that's what that is, because there's nothing more powerful than a recommendation when it comes to mortgages, because they've been recommended to you. You've now got to do a terribly bad job for them not to want to transact with you. So these could be such hot leads for people. You need to create a referral system and have a sort of defined referral system that you can talk about to your clients. So if you're dealing with a customer, you want that client to be referring his friends, family, colleagues, people in his social circle to you. And the best way to do that is to reward that client. You'll see most of the big businesses, so the Amazons or any big business that you transact with, have a referrer. Octopus Energy, for example, they have a refer a friend link that you can send your link, and that client gets rewarded when they refer somebody else to the business. A tip that I learned a few years ago now was if you're going to ask a customer, don't be afraid to ask for a referral. Sometimes we expect them and we all get them, but I know advisors in our business that get an awful lot of referrals because they actively ask for a referral. And one of the top tips or the top takeaways for this is, when you ask for a referral, ask for two. So when you've done a fantastic job for somebody and there's clients have picked up the keys or they've got their mortgage offer, and you pick the phone up to tell them and say, "Look, I hope I've done a good job for you. I'm going to be sending you my Google link so you can leave me a review if you feel like you've had a great service. But can I ask you a favor? As a self-employed business owner or as an employed mortgage broker, your business is built on referrals. So if you could recommend two people to me that I could support and I could help, I'd be really appreciative of it." And what you find is when you ask for two and clients say, "Yeah, I can do that for you," they'll go and find you one referral. At least they've got you one. If you just ask them to refer people to you, if you had a good service, if you stumble across anybody, you might get the odd one in 6, 7, 8 months' time, but you're not going to build up a steady stream of referrals. So always ask for two people. Have a refer a friend scheme. So maybe don't just rely upon the fact that you've transacted with a customer to then get a further referral from people. Why not have a referral scheme in place for people to refer people to you, even if the original person has not transacted with you yet? So that just could be your friends, your family, children, whoever it might be in your social circle. Have a refer a friend scheme where you can reward both parties. So it's like multi-level marketing almost. Community and sports clubs is another fantastic way of getting referrals, because you've got like a defined demographic of people in there. So in our business, we sponsor a local rugby club, we sponsor a local cricket club, we sponsor numerous children's football clubs, because you've got a target audience within those clubs and those groups. Excuse me. One of the ideas, you can do this at a very small cost if you can find the right club, and not all clubs will go for this, but there'll be plenty that will. You could take a typical, local cricket club or a rugby club in a small town. They might have 400 or 500 members, across their wider club. To become a main sponsor might cost you £2,000, and that's going to be money down the drain a little bit, because you might get one or two leads from that, but you're never going to probably take you a while to realise that money back, particularly if you're not actively involved in the club. Whereas what you could do, if you approach those smaller clubs and said, look, I can help you here by introducing, giving money to you in return. I'll give you 20%, 10%, 15% of my case size for anybody you introduce to me. Then that's a fantastic way of them pushing their services, pushing your services onto their client base. So community sports can be fantastic. Gift cards, much the same as refer a friend. Having a process in place and talking about your process. Encourage online reviews. We all know when we've ordered from online before, we've ordered even takeaways and things like that. I always look at the number of Google reviews or the number of reviews they've received. If you've got somebody that's got a 5-star review and they've had 500 reviews, it's a pretty safe bet to say that place is going to be good quality, isn't it? So yeah, absolutely encourage online reviews and your Google reviews. So what works best, paid ads or referrals? Well, the answer is we should be doing both. As brokers, we should be doing both. So paid ads are quick, they're scalable, but they do need budget and they need expertise. We work with some fantastic marketing company that I'm happy to put anybody in touch with. If you want to, feel free to reach out afterwards. And you can get quick results. I mean, like I say, it is scalable, but it does require a budget. It does require expertise. Referrals are organic. They possess high trust. They tend to convert at very, very extraordinarily good conversion rates when you get a referral into your business. It does take a little bit of time to build that as well, so don't shy away from that. The best time to plant an oak tree would have been 20 years ago, but the next best time is now. So if you're not getting regular referrals now, have a process in place and target these referrals, and you'll find that you can build that up very, very quickly. Using social media effectively. So I've got a couple of minutes left here. So make sure you're choosing the right platform. So these are the 3 main platforms that we use. LinkedIn is great for professional credibility and networking. Probably not the ideal place to be targeting, remortgage leads, unless you've got a particular demographic like business owners or something like that. Mortgage advisors tend to target property investors, landlords, and professionals on that platform. The meta pages, so Facebook and Instagram, they're great for first-time buyers, home movers, families, adverse credit impaired people. It's a great place to target that business. TikTok is great for engaging with a younger audience, so particularly first-time buyers or those that prefer short-form content. So they're not going to sit and watch a 10-minute webinar or a 20-minute webinar. But TikTok's fantastic. I see a lot of mortgage brokers now with good followings on there. As soon as you get 1,000 followers, you can do a live. You can go live, and you can have interaction with people in a live space, which is great to see. And you can see, I know a lot of people that have some great success with that. Lastly, creating content that converts. So you've got to think video first. My big tip on this would be to be yourself. What you look like and what you sound like on camera. None of us like seeing ourselves on camera. But what you look like and what you sound like is what you look like and what you sound like. So, don't shy away from that. I'm certainly not Brad Pitt, but I don't mind being in front of a camera. I hated it when I first started doing it. I've just got comfortable the more and more that I've started doing it. So, you sound fine, you look fine. That's what customers see. And if you've ever done a mortgage before, the image you presented to a customer has obviously been good enough because that customer's transacted with you anyway. So, think video first. Posts need to be educational. If they're educational, they build trust, relationship, and authority. It can be entertaining as well. People love entertaining content. I see a lot of sort of mortgage broker memes on my TikTok feed, which is fantastic. Some of that stuff is really funny as well. Storytelling creates an emotional connection. So if you could talk about how you've perhaps helped somebody in the past. I had a client that came to me. They had a CCJ that they didn't know they got. They found their dream house. They were worried they're going to lose it. This is how we solve that problem. That will absolutely resonate with somebody else that's in that same space. So don't worry at all about telling stories. That's a fantastic way of getting engagement. Urgency creates the fear of missing out. So if you've got an offer, if you've got a particular offer on, something like that, you've got to be doing whatever offer it might be. Urgency. This ends at this time. That'll get people's engagement as well. And engagement boosting posts. Start conversations. Don't just be a sort of taker of this stuff. You can give back. You can engage in other people's content. You can speak to other people. You can build your persona by engaging with other people as well. And a call to action. Obviously, I'm not here to talk about compliance. There are compliance rules around this sort of stuff, which I'm sure that your networks or your compliance team will be able to advise you on. But a call to action encourages conversion as well. So if you do have a compliance team, engage with them around that. But it's not something to fear at all. I think there's a big thing in our industry about fearing social media, but the world has moved on. Don't forget, when you capture your leads, build a lead magnet. How-to guides, checklists are really useful. How to secure your mortgage as a first-time buyer, adverse credit guide, a buy-to-let investor guide. are really, really useful lead magnet tools. Webinars, live question and answer sessions are really, really great for engagement as well. And as I mentioned before, exclusive offers too. Right, that's me done. So thank you very much for listening to that. That's almost bang on half an hour, 29 minutes and 15 seconds so far. Any questions that you got, please feel free after I've ended the event to email. My contact details on there, my phone number's on there. WhatsApp's a great communication tool as well if you want questions. My plan is to host some more of these as well. So the next one will be on the 27th of May at 6 p.m. for 30 minutes. And that conversation will be about how to nurture and build ongoing client bases so you can nurture clients for years to come. Thank you so much for joining. And if there's anything you'd like to know, please feel free to reach out.